Okay, let's look at some simple ways to help with low back pain. So low back pain is something that's super common, and it becomes more and more common as we age from things like travel, sitting at a desk for a long period of time, commutes, anything like that. And then after all that instability, all that tension builds up, we try to go out there and be active, which is a fantastic thing. We love activity, right? Like I'm all about it. But you add in that activity on top of just, a dysfunctional body, and then pain starts to happen. So it's not all doom and gloom though. Here's a simple routine you can do. Add this in on a regular basis to help just break up some of that tension in your low back. Make sure you're able to brace and stabilize properly through your low back so you can experience a little bit less in that pain department. First thing I want you to do, I want you to go into this quadruped position. So hands stacked under the shoulders, knees stacked under your hips. I don't want to see your neck all jacked up. Just keep it a nice neutral position here. Then I want you to think about exaggerating core tension right off the bat. So get some tension in that core. I want you to take right arm, left leg, and reach and extend, holding for 3, 2, 1, and then back down. What I don't want to see when we do that extending is an arch in your low back, or you losing position in your low back. So same thing on the other side, left arm, right leg, extends, 3, 2, 1, and back down. As you're doing this, really think about core tension here. I want you to think about stabilizing your spine. That's core stability. Keeping that spine nice and protected. So we lift, really control, hold, 3, 2, 1, back down. Good. Next thing I want you to think about, avoid rotating those hips. Keep those hips stable and keep that back foot, the toes, pointed straight down to the ground. So we extend, hold, 3, 2, 1, back down. Good. Moving slow and steady. We got 2 more here. Once you really exaggerate that core tension, keep that low back stable. Keep those back toes pointed straight down to the ground. Full extension. 3, 2, 1, back down. Good. We got 1 more. Make it your best rep of today. Really think about controlling that low back, keeping that stacked position. Reach, hold, 3, 2, 1, and back down. Okay, here's the deal. That is a super simple movement, but we often just rush and kind of flail all over the place. I just did a couple reps on each side, already getting a little sweat going, right? That might sound crazy to you, but when you start thinking about things with more focus and more intent, you get more out of it in a little amount of time. If you're just kind of flopping your arms and legs, your low back's arching, doing all crazy type of stuff, we're not really getting that value. So keep that in mind. Next one here, I'm going to turn to the front so you can see this one. I want you to send one leg out to the side, trying to be nice and straight through the leg, so we're hitting your adductor. And I want your foot down flat. We're getting a little ankle range of motion in there as well. Then this knee stays in a nice position underneath the hip. Okay? You're going to rock your heel back to your glute, nice controlled. You feel that stretch down this inner thigh. We're holding for a split second here, and back up. Back down, nice controlled. Get to that bottom position here. Hold for a few seconds, and back up. Okay, we're really just releasing this adductor. You might even feel a little stretch into your ankle. That's totally fine. Okay, no pain, but a little bit of stretch in there is totally fine. Good, rocking back. Nice controlled, sending that heel back towards your glute. Okay, nothing painful. And remember, don't fight tension with tense breath. Keep everything nice controlled here. Last one on this side, breathing easy, and back up. Good, we're going to switch over to the other side. Same thing, kickstand out to the side. Leg is nice and straight, foot is flat on the ground. Knee is stacked right under the hip here. And then we're rocking back Nice controlled little pause at that bottom position. Feel that release and back up. Really control this one all the way through, nothing painful. Remember, don't fight tension with tense breath. I want you nice controlled here. You can't really see it probably, but my back toes, or my toes on this foot that's back a little bit further, are engaged with the floor, meaning they're getting a nice little bit of a stretch. Reasoning for that, your big toe, good range of motion through that big toe, helps reduce things like back pain, helps get rid of some pain for you as well. When it starts tensing up, that big toe can result in a lot of pain if it loses that mobility. So anytime I can really engage it with the ground, not the worst thing to make that happen. So now we hit your adductor. Next one here, want to lower down to the ground. Make sure you have enough range here. Again, thinking about body positioning. So if we go back to that first movement, talked a lot about core engagement. So I want you to engage your core. Think about turning those abs on a little bit, engaging your glutes, really tuck that tailbone, and get that low back press firm to the ground. Then you're going to lock your fingers behind your hamstring here. And all I want you to do is try to straighten your leg as much as you can against your hands. Hold for a few seconds and release. So this one, as you guessed it, working on hamstring length. By engaging the front of your leg or that quad, you can help release the back of your leg or your hamstrings. Good, nice straight leg, holding for a few seconds here, and then back down. We'll go 2 more, reaching up. Nice straight leg, feeling that stretch in your hamstrings, pressing into your hands to help straighten out that leg. Engaging your quad or the front and the top of your leg, and back down. Same thing on the other side. Just want to balance it out here. Totally cool to feel a little bit of difference between your left and right side. We don't want that difference to be a massive difference, but chances are there will be a little bit of asymmetry there. The key is to be aware of it and make sure it doesn't become too great. If it becomes something too great and your one side of your body is really doing more work or absorbing more force, that's often when injury can show up, because we want a fairly even distribution of what we're doing. That said, we're human, and it's not always going to be a perfect 50-50 split. Good, last one here, just nice straight leg and release. Good, last one I want you to focus on. You're going to bring your knees up basically to a tabletop position, so knees are stacked right over the hips. Then you can bring your hands up behind your head and try to press your elbows down to the ground, keeping your low back anchored here. Then as you inhale, go ahead and give me just a light arch in your low back. Exhale, flatten that low back down to the ground, trying to press all that air out, and then really keep your elbows in contact with the floor. You might feel, if you're like me, a little bit tight in your chest. As I go and press that low back into the ground, I feel a stretch all the way up here in my chest, feel it in my arms. I'm feeling that release of tension as I form the arch and then go back down into that press. I can actually feel a lot of my upper body starting to release. If you're not super tight up top, you might not feel it there as much, but this is a great way to just help reset your hip position, work on controlling your low back in just a low intensity environment here, and just kind of piecing yourself back together. The nice thing here, this is a super short routine. I highly recommend doing this multiple times a week versus just a longer session on the weekends. If you're just taking 40, 50 minutes on the weekends to do some of this stuff and you're not getting any sort of result, try shorter sessions and more of them throughout the week. Okay, so wrapping it up there, that was just a quick little routine to help you work on back positioning, help you release some of that tension you might be experiencing, and I hope you enjoyed this one today.